Let me introduce myself to you. This is who I am. No more, no less.
Sponsored by
doing something that maybe couldn't normally be done or nobody has taken an interest at. I like giving back to the ones that nobody wants. Welcome to Seeing the Need, Finding the Solution. I'm your host, Phil McElveen, and welcome to the campaign of Where Do We Go From Here? Understanding health disparities as it relates to mental illness, understanding whole health and treating the person, and seeing the need, finding the solution with integrated health solutions. Today we have a very special guest on our show from La Frontera Impact Suicide Prevention, Mr. Conrad Brown, Clinical Coordinator, correct?
Thank you, Phil. That's exactly right.
Welcome to the show. Conrad, let's give me a little bit about yourself and Impact and what your role is there.
After a long career outside of the mental health field, I decided to close the circle on some early training, and I returned to school about 10 years ago, got my certification, and interned at Impact, became a contractor there. I'd been with Impact for about 6 years. And for the last 4.5 years, I have been in the Trauma Healing Services Department, which is kind of a separate department within Impact. And I'm currently both a clinician, a group leader, and a coordinator supervisor there.
And trauma healing, let's talk about that a little bit. One of the things you wanted to put down here and talk about was sources of clinical trauma in family, civilian, and military, which really is a big focus of what we're doing this year, which is focusing on veterans and PTSD. So talk a little bit about that clinical trauma aspect.
Well, first of all, the term trauma, as we know it, refers to emotional trauma that might have been generated early in life in terms of contact with parents, could have been generated on the battlefield or in any other stressful situation. If somebody is assaulted on the street and they're overpowered, there's a very good likelihood that PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, will eventuate from that. And it has impacts throughout the entire life, physically, emotionally, socially, in terms of habits, drug habits, relationships. And eventually, when somebody decides they want to change their life, they might give us a call, and we take it from there.
So, and one of the things I picked up on, you said that they might develop or evolve into post-traumatic stress disorder. So that emotional damage can be stagnant and lay dormant for a while.
Well, absolutely. If somebody is abused sexually, for example, or emotionally. And by the way, sexual abuse, early sexual abuse, until fairly recently has been a taboo subject. As recently as 1980, within the psychiatric profession, it was considered to be a 1 in a million rarity. We know better. 100 years ago, Freud originally believed that it was about as common as we now know it to be, and then he recanted and went a different direction. And until about the last 30 years, it's been a taboo subject. But about 1 girl in 3 has been sexually abused on some level. That does not necessarily mean full-on sexual abuse, but exposure to sexual abuse. 1 boy in 6 undergoes the same sort of thing. And so, because children want their lives to be as good as possible, and because they want to believe the best about their parents or whoever it might be that abused them, it's repressed. It's repressed for a whole host of reasons, and survival is sort of the umbrella reason for that, because if they spill the family secret, spill the dark secret, there are going to be repercussions. And so people can repress for virtually an entire lifetime. One of our services at Empact is a group for men who have been sexually abused. And it's unique or virtually unique in this area. Sure. Just last night we met, and we have 2 individuals in that group who are in their 60s.
Wow.
And both of them have repressed early childhood sexual abuse, in one case prior to 5 years of age, for decades, 4 decades, 5 decades. And there are strong reasons for continued repression, as I said a moment ago. As we become adults and something threatens to bubble up, sometimes it can be like trying to keep a beach ball underwater, but eventually it's going to come up and come out, and people are able to face it.
Sure. You know, I did some research not too long ago, and it was talking about how young some of these women are, and it was correlating with sex trafficking. One of our legal staff on Seeing the Need handles the legal counsel at ASU with the sex trafficking department. And but they were talking about as young as, you know, 14, 13 in that area, but at least 200 to 300 clients a year at the age of 15 and 16. And I think of my daughter and think of what some of those people, and you're talking about maybe an instance or something happening with somebody on that part. Can you? I can't even fathom the trauma that it happens to somebody when that happens.
How old is your daughter, Phil?
I have one that's 15 and one that's 8.
Well, when somebody is overwhelmed with a situation that they're powerless in, that they cannot control, it really is conducive to the development of PTSD or significant trauma afterwards. Just last night on TV, on a different channel, I saw the story of Sherry Carney, who back in the 1980s was a very successful lawyer. And one day as she was trying a case, she physically, literally attacked a witness who was the perpetrator of sexual abuse on his daughter. And the compassionate, wise judge gave her the opportunity for counseling. And as a result of counseling, she came to terms with her own sexual abuse that began when she was 6 months old. Wow. We're not talking about the so-called recovery memories, which generated a scandal back in the 80s and 90s, and you might recall that. We're talking about real memories. Eventually, she confronted her parents. But in her case, the bottom line is the most important piece of this, which is that recovery and change, authentic change and healing are possible. She went through her own therapy, and she's had a nationwide impact, because by 1990, she had generated legal changes in the state of California that abolished the age 19 prohibition on bringing a lawsuit against perpetrating elders, parents. And now in 2012, in 40 states, people who discover that they have been sexually abused as youngsters can sue as a last resort, certainly not as a first resort, because there are big downsides possibly to going into the courtroom.
Sure.
But this is one of the indications that healing does change, does happen, and change, constructive change can occur.
As I get into ask you a question about approaches to PTSD before we go to commercial break and giving somebody reasons for hope, I can tell you from experience, very transparent on the show and transparent with what I do and what we do. Having somebody that tried to take sexual advantage of me when I was a child, and having that first experience be so twisted and not have it correct took me many, many years. And that, coupled with the addiction and different stuff that followed with that before I had the opportunity to get sober, it is not a fun life mentally for that to happen. And there is hope. Speaking of that, what are some approaches to give somebody hope who suffers from PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder? We got about a minute and a half left.
Sure. We have a lot of programs at Impact. To begin with, we have 8 different groups. In addition to the men's group I spoke of, we have multiple women's groups, and these are support groups, and they're also psychoeducation groups called DBT, or dialectical behavior therapy groups. Mindfulness is a key component, the ability to live in the moment of these groups, as well as our therapy. We have some wonderful case manager advocates who advocate for individuals, sometimes accompany them to legal proceedings and help them negotiate their way through a really intimidating system. And then we have a number of full-time staff therapists who are trained in trauma-specific therapies, notably eye movement desensitization reprocessing, EMDR as it's commonly known, which is not a talk therapy, because the trauma neurologically doesn't go to the human brain, it doesn't go to the cortex, which responds to talk therapy. It hangs up elsewhere, and there need to be other approaches. And, and these are well validated, fairly new therapies.
As you look on the screen, Mr. Conrad Brown will be back with Impact throughout this campaign as well. There's some information up on your screen with numbers that you can call for trauma services, you can call for groups, you can call for suicide prevention. Go ahead and call La Frontera Impact Suicide Prevention Center at one of the numbers on your screen, and give yourself a reason for hope, and give them a call. They are excellent organization. Conrad, thank you so much, and we'll be back with you soon.
Good being here, Phil. Thank you.
Let me introduce myself to you. This is who I am. No more, no less. Spend all your time waiting for that second chance, for a break that would make it okay.
We are 100% committed to preventing suicide.
To feel not good enough.
We represent 100%.
We represent 100%.
We represent 100%.
We
represent 100%.
Oh, beautiful release. Memories.
There's no stigma or discrimination against the heart, the liver, the kidney, even the gallbladder. Doesn't even have a job.
Yesterday, depression was kept in the dark,
And bipolar disorder was your best friend's mother's problem.
but the tide is turning.
We're stopping the stigma.
We're coming out.
Our goal is to make the discussion of mental dis-ease cool and trendy.
No kidding?
Me too. No kidding.
Me too. No kidding.
Me too.
It's time we gave the all-American brain some peace of mind.
Living with mental illness is a challenge, but it makes me stronger.
Some would say I'm crazy. I would say I'm enlightened.
Some would say I have a disability. I would say I have special abilities.
Some would say I'm far from ordinary, but I'd say I'm extraordinary.
1 in 4 adults are affected by mental illness.
To learn more, visit oneinfour.info.
How do you go from mental health to health disparities, understanding whole health, integrated health solutions, and cause marketing? And with that, I'm going to welcome Mr. Bill Brace, owner, inventor, and friend, Carry Me 123. Welcome,
Yes,
Bill.
thank you for having me.
All the way from California. This is actually a real privilege for me to be able to start that demographic not just in Arizona, but in California, and then try to pull in other states. As you know, Arizona, a lot of people come from out of state. I talked in previous segments about the $multi-trillion worth spent in advertising. So I really want to try to get some of that back to Phoenix and help some people with the help of a lot of organizations and companies mixing with that in. Bill, tell us a little bit about yourself. Starting at your military. We do a lot of stuff, obviously, with this campaign of PTSD and veterans. So give me a little background on you.
Militarily-wise, I did 20-plus years in the military. I did about half of it in the active duty and about half of it in the reserves. And what happened was I got back in the reserves after being out for a few years and became a combat CB. And the CBs are a construction battalion of the Navy, and we work with the Navy as well as with the Marine Corps. And being a combat CB, you take the training at Camp Pendleton as well as 29 palms on various types of weapons, ammunition, that kind of thing, and you fire rocket launchers and so on and so forth. And I love being a CB, and there's nothing like being a part of an organization that works together and has some responsibility for doing something about our country.
And that's awesome. After your military career, I think when we spoke yesterday, you talked about a hotel that you owned in
Montana.
in a ski area that didn't snow.
Yeah.
Okay. And the next thing after that came hay.
Yeah.
That you got involved with,
Yeah.
and you worked with thoroughbreds and hay in California for how many years?
20 years.
20 years. Yeah. And now you invented, a while back, a device.
Yes.
But before we go that, what I did is I did something kind of special for you. This man also was a stunt man in California. He did a movie with Peter O'Toole called The Stunt Man. So I found a clip of him in this movie 23 years ago. Actually, 33 years ago. Go ahead and take a look at this.
Oh,
there he goes. Let's see. You know what? If we can, let's see that. Let's cue that up and give it one more time. That is the Stuntman movie with Peter O'Toole, Mr. Bill Brace, and that is actually Bill falling from the pole. There he goes, and bam! There you are.
Yeah.
Wow. You went from being, you've had
that was when I was young and healthy.
Keep kicking, keep kicking.
Yes, yes.
This product here, one thing I love is even in the behavioral health field, we were rolling around the idea and very seriously thinking about mixing up with Walgreens, and we had some talks and still do, and trying to finalize some stuff about, you know, when breast cancer put the pink ribbon on the Campbell's can, not only did they receive about $500,000 in free advertising, but over $250,000 was raised in the first 30 days in reference to the profits for that charity as well. So we were thinking about some different ideas and product placement for mental illness and trying to get that out. So it's a blessing to be able to work with you where the knowledge comes in with the credit card info in reference to the mill house and all that kind of stuff that goes along with product placement. And these are really, really cool. What you do is you clip these on your window, in the back side of the window, or a window, and you go like that, and you can carry stuff. And it's a simple, really. You want to demonstrate, or you want me to?
You can.
You can carry skis. You can carry lumber. You can carry whatever fits in there.
Right.
A child, if it's acting up. But no, I'm just kidding.
Right. Let me explain.
Go ahead.
You roll the window down. You hook this up on the window like so. Roll the window up into the sash. Once you have it in the sash, then you can take skis, 2x4s, PVC pipe, as you see on the video, and you can leave them in your glove compartment. You can take them out. You put them on the window. You roll the window up, and then you put the product, which is fishing rods, skis, lumber, PVC pipe, skateboards, whatever. That will work. And you take the bungee cord, pull it around, snap it into place. And there you are, you're all done. And when you get done with the product, you can take it off your window and throw it back in the glove compartment, and that's it. So that kind of takes, it's so simple, it's difficult for people to find problems with it, really. But they keep trying, which is okay.
You know how encouraging it is for, I mean, military career, entrepreneurial, you know, in that field for 20 years with the thoroughbreds. And the video, I mean, look at that. I don't know how many times I've been on vacation up where the snow is or even up where fishing is, and I had to go buy the stuff at the site, which is a lot more expensive, because I didn't have no way to put it in the vehicle I had or when I got there, type of thing, you know, especially when it came to longer stuff like skis and stuff like that.
2x4s.
2x4s. And one of the ideas we talked about before was, a reference to the commercial was, which we were rolling around was, can you imagine a guy with a motorcycle and the guy, the old boyfriend walking up to the new girlfriend or the old girlfriends, and the girlfriend saying, "Hey, you just can't take me to where he can," and they ride off on the motorcycle. And can you imagine the guy rolling back up with these on his window and a couple fishing poles, and she looks at the bike and jumps in the car, and then he's standing there with a fishing pole and a motorcycle going, "How do I make this fit?" So, no, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
But in reality, what we decided to do was help Bill as well, try to get this product out, and in a very different way, in a big way. Bill has a heart for people with mental illness, addictions. That's where I want to go real quick.
Okay.
One reason why you got involved with this campaign would be what?
I just like helping people. You know, I've been around a long time. I've had several times I've been able to delegate my time for various things and working with people with allergies, as well as alcoholism, drug addiction, mental stuff, and you know, most of the things that we talk about when I deal with people like that is some of the experiences I had in life as a child as well as an adult. And today, because of the interaction that I have with other people who have some of the same addictions that I had, I'm just so much further ahead than I've ever been mentally and physically.
You know, right while you were speaking, it kind of bring tears to my eyes. It's amazing to me of what the good man upstairs brings through these campaigns. It could have been anybody, but he brings the people who seriously have a heart and honestly have a heart for the people who are still suffering, and in ways that I would never even have thought imaginable. You might see this product, which is a great product, and you might see it as, oh, no, there's a product and that's it. But the reality behind this is you have a very blessed man involved in a very blessed project with a very serious goal, which is to help the person who is still suffering from mental illness. It's to educate the community in understanding what health disparities is about. It's in understanding and giving ways of hope in treating the whole person in our community. Arizona statistics are much higher in many categories for those health disparities. And the reality of it is somebody gets ready to stand up or gets ready to get involved and just say selling a product and say donating percentages of revenue to help campaigns.
Right.
Now, that's huge, Bill, huge. I've had the pleasure of spending some time with you back and forth between here and San Diego, and it amazes me of how close-knit you are and the people around you. I had the ability to spend some time with you at lunch a couple of weeks ago. And the laughter and the joy that goes beyond this. And one of the things I asked you before we bring you on board with this is, what is your reason for doing this? Do you want to make money? And you'll never forget it. And you're like, you looked at me and said, the first thing you said is, my main thing is I want it to work.
That's right.
And if we all took that approach and just wanted it to work, we want the medical system to work, we want the recovery system to work, we want the healthcare system to work, we want things to work. And if the motive is pure, then the outcome will definitely be what is on your heart. We've got a couple minutes left.
This is, in a certain way, this is a service to everybody. Because I think over the years, especially now that we have smaller cars, that people need to carry things on their cars, like skis and so on and so forth. So this is somewhat a service to our people and people around us who drive small cars, especially the kids and stuff like that go skiing and snowboarding and skateboarding and stuff like that, and it's such a simple device.
Well, even above that, look at the economy. Say you're building something, female or male, and you do own a small car. What do you usually got to do to get that lumber to your home? You know, you either got to call up a friend as a truck, you know, that's kind of like the airport phone call, and nobody wants to take it. You know, but something that, you know, with that economy where it's a do-it-yourself type of world now that's getting more and more entrepreneurial, and the cars are getting smaller for economic reasons, but what a great, what a great device, what a great invention. B, congratulations on stepping out and doing something and not just being stagnant in life. So there'll be some commercials coming on the show. We'll be actually promoting this in a very big way to try to get his dream to come true, and at the same time trying to make a difference in our community by collaborating that for-profit with that nonprofit. So tune in to watch the show. You know, we'll tell you where you can get it. You can actually go to the website, carryme123.com. You can look at some different pictures, some different photos, family shots, and take a look at it. If you want to get something that's a really good gift for somebody that's going to give back to the community and also be kind of cool, something that they've never had, and that's really what it is giving somebody something that they never had. Giving somebody who suffers from mental illness, and we talked about it in a previous show, of the ability of somebody caring about them. Giving somebody a message of hope. My name is Phil McElveen, and this is Bill Brace from San Diego.
Thank you so much for having me.
Love it as well. We will be back with Seeing the Need, Finding the Solution next Sunday. I want to thank you. Remember, if you understood this program, thank a teacher, and if you were able to watch it in the comfort of your home, thank a soldier.
Thank you. Thank you.